Hey, what's up YouTube? Now I know a lot of people have known that I haven't played Path of Exile in a while, so I decided to come back and try out this new game mode known as Group SSF Friendly Fire, and I was also leveling up a character in Ruthless Gold in order to try to get my free loot box. So I made the character, and in order to make the character, you go to this website, and this is the Path of Exile website, and you have to create your own private league. Now you can see here it's Friendly Fire Group SSF. So you create it, and then you can invite your friends to join you, and then you can have a great time. And there's Hunting Group, Hostility, Rigor Mortis, and no guild stash. So I made the league, I killed Hillock, and I'm ready to go, right? I'm in my private league. Now I don't really have any friends right now, so I didn't have any friends to play with, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go try out the league, see how it goes. I entered the coast, and I having some fun in the coast. I killed Hillock. My character felt pretty strong, so I shouldn't have any problems, right? So I'm walking here, walking there. Now I know that Path of Exile is mostly a solo game. Like most people who play Path of Exile play alone. You don't really have that many friends, and what do you know? I actually can't do any damage to the mob. So when I thought it was like friendly fire, I thought that maybe I would still be able to do damage to the mobs. So if you actually look at the thing here, it says players can only deal damage when near 2 other players. And they actually really mean it, unfortunately. I know I'm kind of trolling and I'm kind of stupid, but they actually mean that you cannot play this game mode without friends, even if you wanted to. Now, I don't really know why they decided to choose this for Group SSF. But basically, you can't do damage unless you're next to your party members. And if you actually do splash damage to your party members, you actually do damage to them and you can actually kill them. Now, you might be wondering what happens when you die. And there is a medium core penalty in this game mode, in that when you die and you press resurrect in town, you get this thing known as Rigor Mortis. Now, Rigor Mortis means that you can't move your character, and you have died recently and cannot perform actions for 45 seconds. So right now, I can't do anything. Like I died, let's say I'm a beginner, I died to like cannibals or something. Well, too bad. I'm just wasting a minute of my life right here until I can actually move around. Now, this is pretty much done so that in this event, you're racing to kill Act 10 Kitava. So they want you to kind of have a time penalty instead of just zerging down bosses. However, this has got to be one of the worst implementations of a death penalty I've ever seen in any game, and it feels like a complete time waste. So why have they done these events? The 3.21 has been delayed, and there's the introduction of a lot of these wacky events. GGG did go into detail saying that they didn't really expect a lot of people to play these events, and they're kind of trying to test out some new concepts. So one of the events that they did initially was Ruthless Gold, and for a lot of people who don't know, one of the best parts of Path of Exile is that there's no singular currency that's like the gold standard. Like there's no gold in the game. The best parallel to gold that we currently have is probably Chaos Orbs or Divine Orbs. So GGG wanted to show us pretty much by making an event as bad as possible to illustrate why gold is a bad idea. And they really showed me why gold is a bad idea after playing the Ruthless Gold mode. And I can definitely agree with their sentiment. Now, the second set of events is a bunch of Group SSF events. Let me see if I can show you over here. So this is weeks 1 through 4. Now, if you get to level 45, you do get a loot box, and I think it takes probably like 4 hours, maybe 3 hours if you play really fast and you play the meta build. So if you want to put yourself through that torture, save yourself $3, then by all means, go do that. Now, the next set of events is the asynchronous Group SSF events, and this allows you to have a Group SSF event, and asynchronous means that you can start the league at any time, and I'll go over a little bit about why this is very, very important. So first off, I did try out the Ruthless Gold mode, and the Ruthless Gold mode is an abomination. I kind of like Ruthless. I can definitely see the appeal of Ruthless, but there is something very, very fundamentally disgustingly wrong with this mode, which is the pickup radius for gold is awful. Now I'll show you here. I'm playing Cold Dot, so don't really, I'm not really trying to reinvent the wheel. So okay, so you can see there's gold on the ground right there, right? So you would think like, oh, I'm pretty close to the gold. I should be picking up the gold, right? I'm kind of close to it. I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to the gold. Maybe you actually have to go way on top of it. So what that means is that when you like clear maps and you're like a range build, you're not even going to be able to pick up the gold. So you have to backtrack and actually run over the gold. And that just feels like, I don't know, it just feels a horrible way of doing it. Like, I don't know if they're trying to self-sabotage this game mode, but you can see there's a lot of random gold to drop. You kind of have to go pick up everything, and it just leads to kind of a horrible experience. Oh wait, there's 7 gold. I just missed 7 gold. Okay, that's pretty bad, right? But now you might be wondering, oh, what about the what do you do with the gold? So with the gold, you can go buy certain currency, and I have around 1,700 gold, and I'm at level 29. And let's see, what can I buy? 1,700 gold. That sounds like a lot. Well, I can buy some portal scrolls. I can spend 15,000 gold to get a fusing, or I can spend 50,000 gold to get a regret, or 5,000 gold to get a jeweler's orb. So I can't buy anything because I haven't really found enough gold. And I heard that maybe it scales up more, and maybe GGG just didn't really test out these values about how much gold we should be getting. But all in all, kind of seems like you don't really get much stuff. And for this right here, you can actually buy a ring for 2,000 gold. And you can't buy a lot of flasks. So I wanted to show you there's something else that you can do with the gold, which you can gamble for items. So right here, I think if you talk to one of these people in the town, you can see gamble for items. So when you gamble for the item, I think you get, let's see. So I want to get boots, right? I want to get some movement speed on a boot, so I get this. And it can be a blue pair of boots, and there we go. 300 gold gone, 491. Let's go see right here. 9 intelligence, man. We just aren't getting anything. Maybe a +1 cold wand. Plus 13 intelligence, man, that is quite a shame. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So you just get a bunch of blue items, and now we're pretty much lost all our gold. So GG, right? Now, the gambling vendor, I do think is kind of a cool concept. I do think that's kind of weird to test out this gold concept in Ruthless mode, because there's already item scarcity, and you don't really, and then we aren't really getting any gold because they don't want us to have too many items. So it kind of seems like it's a counterproductive task. Now, something else that makes it really bad with gold, and GGG kind of said that Ruthless mode was going to be easier with gold. However, the sad fact is when you sell these items, you get like peanuts in terms of gold, but you could actually be getting 3 transmutation shards. And if you actually look at the vendor right here, you can see you actually are unable to buy transmutes or alts or chance orbs or any sort of stuff. So it's kind of a horrible experience. And it's actually harder in the beginning parts of the game than the normal game. Now, I do know there's a lot of people here who love loot boxes, and you do get this sick loot box. Let me show you. So you get a Sanctum mystery box, so 50 microtransaction points or whatever. And the best build is definitely playing Cold Dot. I think the top Ruthless builds are definitely Cold Dot, Righteous Fire, and probably Bone Shatter, if I had to guess. Now, the Ruthless Gold event was not that good, but then there's also the group SSF mode, and this is the one that I tried out that I showed you guys at the beginning of the video. And in this league, the #1 goal is to kill Act 10 Kitava. Now, the funny part about this event is that kill Act 10 Kitava, it shouldn't be that hard, you would think. Now, however, you would be very surprised. In 1 day and 2 hours, so this event started like roughly 1 day ago, there's been 1 group that has killed Act 10 Kitava. Now, I don't know if it's because no one is playing this event because friendly fire is a terrible idea that no one wants to experience outside of maybe the novelty of it at the beginning, or if it's just one of the hardest events known to mankind. But I do know that only 1 group has killed Act 10 Kitava since this event has started over a day ago. So that's just something that I found was really ridiculous. Now here you can see hunting group. It does mean that you do friendly fire, hostility, and then no guild stash. No guild stash is something that I thought was really strange. Because if you're doing a group SSF mode, why can't you share the items with your group in the guild stash? Another really strange thing. So like I said, in this mode, you can only deal damage when near another player. And you can do friendly fire damage, killing your friends. And 1 group has killed Act 10 Kitava. Now, the worst part of the mode definitely is the rigor mortis. Like, no one wants to stand in town for a minute. I can't emphasize that this is a horrible design decision. I do understand what GGG wants to do, which is that you want to introduce a penalty for dying, right? So there's a lot of talk about how can you actually introduce a penalty for dying so that deaths have more meaning, but you don't have it so extreme that you lose your entire character. However, I can guarantee you, GGG, you don't even need to test this out. You don't need to try this out at all. No one wants to die and then be able to stand in town for a minute. Because if you actually think about this and what this actually means, it means that since this is a group mode and you can't actually do damage without your friends, if your friends die, then that means you're just sitting there fighting the boss for a minute, unable to do damage, or you have to TP out, or you have to log out, and that is just an absolute abomination of how you can approach penalties on dying. Now, I do think that friendly fire has no room in PoE. I don't think PvP has any room in PoE. And I did get to thinking about how you can kind of cheese the mode, and I do think if you went CI and you did chaos dot skills like Bane or something like that, or Blight, or just or Essence Drain or something like that, that you can definitely get around it. Or you can also stack high resist, like fire resist, and only use fire skills, something like that. I do think is some interesting way you can work around the friendly fire. Now, one of the good parts about this mode, or what GGG has tested, is that I really think that group SSF is really fun. If you have friends, I think it's one of the best ways to play PoE, and it does kind of smooth out the RNG. A lot of times when you play solo SSF, you can't get all the items because, I mean, RNG is just RNG. Like, sometimes you just don't find that very common unique. But if you have 5 friends or 4 friends or something like that, it's much more likely that you can get that tier 2 or tier 3 unique that you're more than likely to get in a larger group. Now, asynchronous mode is something that's really good because I do think that Path of Exile sometimes does suffer the problem, especially in longer term format races or even shorter term format races, is that because there's a lot of players from EU and North America, sometimes people are starting to race at like 3 a.m. and other people are starting to race at like 8 a.m. So if you can do this for like shorter term races, so say like an Act 10 Kitava or Act 5 Kitava, then I do think that there may be more interest in racing, because I remember that one of the biggest problems with racing in Path of Exile, besides the fact that people don't really play ARPGs to do races in short term, is the fact that some of the start times were truly messed up, and that some people would have to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning in order to compete. But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments below if you got your free loot box from Ruthless Gold, and if you think that the Friendly Fire event was really good and how far you actually got in the event. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors Divines than me, and see you next time. Bye!